Today we're looking at 5 common habits of highly successful people you can learn from to model your own success on. We all want success in life. For many of us, it seems success is a mirage that's not only difficult to obtain, but appears to be impossible. I'm here to tell you it's not. In fact, as with many things in life, you can learn and model yourself on the achievements of others. Before Roger Bannister came along, people believed that not only was it impossible to run the 4-minute mile, but that doing so would cause your heart to explode. Roger Bannister dismissed the notion by being the first to do it, but what's particularly important to note is that since that moment the 4-minute barrier was broken, thousands have run the mile in less than 4 minutes. You see, people saw Roger Bannister's achievement and started modelling themselves to do the same. The notion of the impossible was broken and people instead found an example to follow. In this video, we look at 5 common habits you can learn from successful people to allow you to model their success. Before we begin, if you find today's video informative, please consider subscribing for more content like this and drop a like down below. The first habit to learn from successful people is that they know how to communicate well. You see, communication is fundamental in understanding others and ensuring they understand you. You could have a brilliant mind with incredibly sophisticated ideas, but if you can't communicate effectively, then how will others understand you? Therefore, it's vital to learn to communicate thoughts and ideas to others. One basic principle is to speak in a way that is understood by your audience. Let's take Jordan Peterson as an example. Dr. Peterson is a psychologist and academic. He's highly recognized for his intelligence, and often when listening to him speak, his use of language and ability to communicate can leave people in awe. However, what's really important to identify is that while his intelligence and communication skills are highly recognized, his most powerful messages, the ones he's become famous for, are communicated in a way where the vast majority of people will understand what he's saying without needing a degree in psychology or philosophy.
You're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed. God only knows why. Maybe you're too short, or you're not as beautiful as you could be, or your grandparent was a serf, likely, because almost everybody's great-grandparent was. It's like, and you're not as smart as you could be, and you have a sick relative, and you have your own physical problems, and it's like, frankly, you're a mess. And you're oppressed in every possible way, including your ancestry and your biology, and the entire sum of human history has conspired to produce victimized you with all your individual pathological problems. It's like, yes, true. Okay, but the problem is that it is true. And so if you take the oppressed, you have to fractionate them. It's like, you're a woman. Yeah, okay, well, I'm a black woman. Well, I'm a black woman who has 2 children. Well, I'm a black woman who has 2 children and one of them isn't very healthy. And then, well, I'm a Hispanic woman and I have a genius son who doesn't have any money so that he can't go to university. And, I had a hell of a time getting across the border. It was really hard on me to get my citizenship. My husband is an alcoholic brute. It's like, well, yeah, that sucks too. And so let's fix all your oppression. And we'll take every single thing into account, and then we'll fix yours too. We'll take every single thing into account. It's like, no, you won't, because you can't.
You see, when he communicates, he speaks from a place where he's speaking to the masses, not just contemporaries. His use of language is highly effective in both in its simplicity, but also its emotional resonance with his audience. In addition to communicating effectively with language, you need to ensure you can communicate using hand gestures. So much so, it's said that 55% of communication is done using body language. Now, this number is up for debate, but what isn't is that a huge portion of how we communicate is done through non-verbal communication, which will increase the concentration and retention of your audience. The next habit of highly successful people is that they are prepared to listen to others and learn. Many successful people are avid readers, and some read books on a weekly basis despite being incredibly busy with their day-to-day activities. It's through expanding your mind and constantly learning that you develop new skills and grow your understanding of the world that you live in. Take Bill Gates, who created Microsoft and is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time. Once a year, he takes leave for 2 weeks to read and learn. During this time, he doesn't work, he doesn't do emails, but instead will learn to grow. What's even more impressive is he listens to others and allows them to give him suggestions on what he should be reading.
A final approach is one that has really become important over the years as what we call Think Week. And traditionally this was more focused on my going off for a week and people sending me a lot of ideas, generally 300 or so, and then I would take and provide feedback on those.
Bear in mind that this is a man who's seen success that less than 99.9% of people can only dream of. The fact is, success or not, he listens to what others have to share and he takes time to grow himself. The one fundamental truth is that the world will always change and evolve, and successful people will recognise this. In order to keep with the changing times, it's vital that education in life never stops. You have to learn constantly throughout your life, as for example, technology that you use today will be out of date within a year, and if you don't keep up, you will fall behind. The third common habit of successful people is they learn to prioritise their tasks. Here's the thing, we all have 1001 things we need to do all of the time, and frankly speaking, none of us have the time to actually do them all. Successful people will prioritise what's important to them and will constantly keep tabs on the tasks they must complete. Those tasks they need to do to be successful are what they will focus on, whereas tasks that they might consider unnecessary or mundane will only be done once they have completed their most important and valuable tasks first. For example, ever wondered why Mark Zuckerberg always wears the same clothing? Well, it turns out that people are generally limited to making a finite number of decisions effectively on a daily basis before they start to see errors creeping into their decision making. For Zuckerberg, what he wears every day isn't a high priority, therefore he puts little effort into choosing his wardrobe, and it fundamentally comes down to him putting in the least effort whatsoever in deciding what he needs to wear each day. This gives him time and mental capacity to focus on what he considers of greater importance, such as ensuring Facebook continues its success and making people believe he's not a lizard.
Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard.
One technique that will work is to write down a list of tasks that you want to complete either the night before or first thing in the morning when you start your day. These tasks need to be critical tasks that you want to have completed to ensure that your day is considered a success. These work in two ways, as first it forces you to think actively about what you need to do and turn it from abstract thoughts into tangible goals. The second is that by completing tasks and actively ticking them off on your to-do list, you give yourself a small dopamine boost, meaning you feel a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction in completing a task, keeping you motivated to keep progressing through them. The fourth common habit of successful people is they've learnt the art of saying no. Here's the thing, everyone has a finite amount of time to do tasks and get results. We're all limited to 24 hours in the day and all need to do tasks for basic sustenance, such as eating, drinking and sleeping. With the time we have left over, we have to be careful of picking and choosing what takes priority. This is where those who are successful pick well. For example, you might be doing something of value and importance towards achieving your goal, but then get asked to perform a chore. While the chore might be necessary, you have to make the decision whether in that moment in time it takes priority over the task that you are doing. You see, it's these decisions and staying focused on what you need to give priority to that will ultimately determine your success. Warren Buffett, the billionaire and one of the most successful people in the world, put it best when he was quoted as saying, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." It goes to show just how powerful short words are, and how it is fundamental in determining the success of people. Finally, the fifth and possibly the most important habit of successful people is that they are persistent. Rome wasn't built in a day. Bill Gates blew up his garage multiple times before he created the first functional Windows operating system. Steve Jobs was sacked from Apple, the company he started, before returning to take it to the top of the world, and Elon Musk was on the verge of bankruptcy before SpaceX had its first successful launch. The point is, you will fail. We all fail. It's one of the inevitabilities of life. The question is, how do you react to failure? Some will stop themselves from pursuing their dreams as they come to the conclusion that failure is the end of the road. Others, especially for those who are successful, embrace the failure to learn from the experience and try new ways to achieve their dreams. Simply put, if you have a dream and you hit failure, you can either stop or you can learn and try again. If you choose to stop, your dream cannot be achieved. But if you try again, there remains hope of one day having the dream become reality.
That if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim, you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it.
So there you have it. We've covered 5 habits that all successful people have, which you can use to model your own success. To reiterate, communicate well, listen and learn, prioritize tasks, learn to say no, and last but not least, be persistent. Do these things and you too can work your way to achieve your own success. I've covered 5 habits today, but are there any that I haven't added that you think should be on the list? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with others who might find it of interest and consider subscribing for more content like this.